Good day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rehab Gaming. So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing facts involving the SNES console, and more specifically, facts regarding the copy of Starfox on the Super Nintendo platform. Stay tuned, and we'll get right at it. So as you can see, we have two copies of Starfox for the Super Nintendo console, and they look almost exactly the same. They actually have the same part number on the front of the label, the SNES-F0-USA, meaning that these are supposed to be the NTSC release copies of the Starfox cartridge. However, one of these games are not what they appear to be. So for starters, let's direct our attention to the one on the left, and we'll go ahead and set this one on the right off to the side. So as we look at the front and the back, this copy actually looks pretty good. Not too much wear on it. There's a little bit of dirt, but it's not too bad. A few scratches on the front label, and it's peeling off right here on the edge a little bit, but other than that, this copy is in really good shape. Let's go ahead and grab our Nintendo GameBit driver and crack this cartridge open and see what secrets it hides. Now that we got the screws out, we'll go ahead and pop off this front cover and expose the board underneath. And this is what we're greeted with. So this board has 4 glop top chips, and it does show a 1992 date stamp, and it does have the Nintendo 1990 copyright logo at the top right hand corner. And as we look at the upper left hand side, you can see a model number of LR0G1801. Now, just to double check my cart and make sure that this is an official copy of the game board inside the cartridge, I did a little bit of research on this model number, and I found out apparently this is one of the more unusual SNES boards that were produced for their game carts. It's not a standard SNES PCB because it has the glob tops holding down the chips, and apparently this type of board configuration was used for the Starfox SNES game. And doing a little bit of research on the model number, I was able to find out that this main board contains 256K RAM. It also has a Mario chip, a Super FX chip, and a F411A CIC. So when I researched this number at the top left-hand corner of the board, I was able to find out that this specific copy is a Starfox US release revision 1.0. What got me started on researching this main board is when I cracked it open to double check and make sure that the board inside fit what it was supposed to be for this copy, I saw the glob tops and I thought, that's a little strange. I better double check this just to make sure I didn't get ripped off. And so upon doing that little bit of a research, I was able to find out that this is a legitimate board for a copy of Starfox for the US release revisions. And we'll go ahead and take this board out of the backhand side of the cartridge casing, flip it over, and take a look at the back. So what I also did is I looked at the back of this board and did a picture search on Google just to make sure that everything on the backhand side of this board matched all the pictures that people have taken of legitimate copies of Starfox, just to ensure that this indeed was an authentic Starfox game board. So we're going to go ahead and put this board back into the casing. We'll go ahead and put the front of the game cartridge back on and set this off to the side, and we'll bring forward the other cart that was on our right hand side. So looking at this cartridge, it looks exactly the same. Go ahead and flip it over, and it just looks like a regular copy of a Nintendo SNES game. But this thing hides a secret. So let's grab a screwdriver and get it tore open. Alright, so now that we got the screws out of this cartridge, we'll go ahead and lift off the top and... oh wow. That board looks nothing like the other board that was in our copy of Starfox that we confirmed to be authentic. So let's go ahead and take this board out and take a closer look. So as we pull the board out, we're going to go ahead and set the backhand side of the casing off to the side and flip it over. So while looking at this board, I can see that it does have a copyright stamp on it that says Nintendo, copyrighted 1992, and this board also contains a Mario chip -1-100. It also contains a 8M/4M mask ROM chip, and then over here it contains a 256K SRAM chip. And then we see this model number over here off to the left-hand side, almost dead center in the board of the cartridge. And that model number says SHVC-1CON5S-2. Now, since these boards were so different from one another, I got curious and I'm like, okay, well, this also does look like a official Nintendo game cartridge board. It has all the chips that the other one says it has. So, what's the difference? Why are the boards so vastly different from one another? And upon doing my research, I found out something very interesting about this board. When I got the search results back for this board's model number, I discovered that this copy of Starfox is actually a Japan region release game board. So if anything else, this shows that it's more important than ever, no matter what game you get, no matter where you buy it from, whether it's from a store, on eBay, or somebody from Craigslist, you don't know exactly what you're getting until you crack the game open and check the board. Now thankfully, both of these copies are actual copies that were released by Nintendo. Neither one of these are reproductions, they're not clones, they're not fakes, but they are genuine Nintendo boards. However, I would have never known that this board right here was a Japan release copy of Starfox. If you ever do open up a copy of a game and you find a game board that you really didn't expect to be inside that cartridge, do your research. Do some research on the model number, pop it into Google, do an image search, see if you can find some images that matches the board that you have before you, and just make sure that that board is legitimate and that it belongs inside the game cart that you have. This just protects you to make sure that you don't get gypped or ripped off by someone trying to pass something as being authentic when it is not, or if you're in a game store, there's a possibility that it just could have been missed and somebody traded in, didn't even know any better, they got it online or a friend gave it to them and they had no idea that it was a repro or that it wasn't a legitimate copy of whatever game. Now for me, in this instance, this was a happy accident. I ended up getting a NTSC release copy of this game, then I also ended up getting a Japan release copy of the game that I can add to the collection. However, you might not be so lucky. So just make sure you do your due diligence and do some research on something before you purchase it. So that wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like down below. If you want to see more videos of similar content, feel free to subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit that bell notification so you're notified every single time that an episode is released. Also, if you'd like to know what future plans we have for this channel and what episodes you can expect to see in the future, stop by our Facebook page at Rehab Gaming YT. So without further ado, thank you for stopping by and we hope you have a wonderful day.